This is Federico, 50 from Sardinia. He drinks beer several times a week, smokes 7-8 cigarettes daily, and has never been to a gym. Claudio is 50 and lives in downtown Madrid. He takes 15 supplements, does sauna 3 times a week, strength trains, does high-intensity interval training cardio in Zone 2, and follows his routine like a robot. Who do you think will live longer and have a better quality of life with this information? You may think you know the answer, but this video will change your mind. After studying healthy longevity for years, I'm realizing that there are pieces that don't fit, pieces that are hard to represent in the studies we evaluate. But they make all your efforts to take care of yourself pointless. Don't you know? I know so many people with seemingly perfect routines and suboptimal health. Today we'll discuss 3 of those pieces. Longevity hacks no one mentions aren't about luck, diet, training, or VO2 max. They relate to something deeper and more human. Hacks you can't buy. Did you know unwanted loneliness equals smoking 15 cigarettes daily? This statement may sound shocking or sensationalist, but it's scientifically supported and based on a classic meta-analysis. On loneliness, a study by Julianne Holt-Lundstad, she's the author, and she concludes the work with a very powerful message: unwanted loneliness. It's as deadly as smoking 15 cigarettes daily, posing a higher risk than obesity or inactivity. Yes, read it again as many times as you need. This isn't about having lots of friends, many contacts, or being popular. It's about having a group of people with whom you can be yourself. Without masks, it's about having deep connections, not necessarily many. What biological sense does it make that feeling lonely harms your health? I've asked myself this question often, so let me explain. 50,000 years ago, being left alone meant certain death from weather, injuries, predators, or infections. If your group left, you died. This obviously left a biological mark that we still carry today. Your genes are mostly the same. It's your environment that's changed. Alright, when you perceive chronic loneliness, note, you only need to feel lonely. It doesn't necessarily have to be something objective. Your brain triggers a response in the amygdala. It's a stressed neural almond that changes gene expression, increases inflammation before injuries, lowers viral defense, and boosts bacterial defense. This is what's called the conserved transcriptional response to adversity. A gene expression pattern in leukocytes that raises pro-inflammatory genes, lowers antiviral genes, and reduces antibody production. It's a biological alarm triggered whenever there's loneliness, social rejection, status threats, being fired, cancelled, or humiliated. The key is it's linked to higher risk of heart disease, cancer, type 2 diabetes, asthma, arthritis, and depression. Here you go. No supplement can fix this, right? Only we as a society can change it. Why live in a downtown apartment? Having Netflix, 3,000 friends on Instagram, or talking daily on WhatsApp, or even chatting on Tinder or Bumble or any dating app. You may still feel lonely. In fact, those things can make you feel even lonelier. Technology isn't a long-term fix for loneliness. It often disconnects us and offers only temporary solutions. Video calling your distant grandpa is nice, but it's just a patch. No? We are wired to connect deeply, not through a screen, but in proximity, for contact, to look into each other's eyes, to have human encounters, not digital ones. That's protective, and everything else is not. The second killer of your longevity is the absence of purpose. Having a mission in life is in your DNA. Not perceiving direction, contribution, or meaning makes you sick. This relationship between mission and health, it's a topic that drives me crazy, because the truth is it's not well defined in science. If the nervous system, which costs us a lot of adenosine triphosphate, doesn't have a clear goal, the processes that optimize health are diminished. Why? It's as if your nervous system is asking you, why do you want me to keep you alive, active, strong, healthy? Tell me why, you tell me why, and I take care of it. To start a family, to be an athlete, to develop your career, to be an artist. It needs goals, and when we're lost, it struggles. What do many people do then? They pursue pleasure as a goal, relief, and purpose. If my life doesn't satisfy me, pleasure will, but the meaning of your life can't be pleasure. Pleasure isn't bad. What's bad is treating it as life's ultimate goal. Living only to seek pleasure and avoid pain is animalistic. Science is clear on this. Those with a strong sense of purpose live an average of 4 years longer and may develop dementia at an average age 6 years later. In fact, post-mortem studies have shown that people with a high sense of purpose in life can have brains full of amyloid plaques, but not show signs of dementia. Never in her life, Dr. Patricia Boyle showed that people with a greater sense of purpose have a 52% lower risk of stroke, and half the risk of Alzheimer's. Purpose is a powerful neuroprotector. The size of your purpose doesn't matter. What matters is that it makes you feel, I'm here for a reason, I have a role, a mission, and a place in the world. Your purpose may relate to work, relationships, family, or a combination. Everyone has their own, none is superior, and parenthood is a common example. The mission is to help another life develop, but it doesn't have to be the only or most important one. Now for the third anti-longevity mistake, the toughest to explain, living a life that isn't yours. I've called it the price of inauthenticity, chronic inauthenticity. Maintaining a facade to please others is condemning yourself while alive. The internal conflict between who you are and who you pretend to be in front of others comes at a high price, and this has thousands of faces, but it often feels like an imbalance between external obligation and internal motivation. For example, working a job that doesn't motivate or represent you just to earn a living. Or pretending to have a different sexual orientation, which still happens, or becoming a lawyer like your father even though you hate conflict. Acting as your family expects, feeling major life choices were forced on you. Study this major, or at least strongly influenced by others, is a subtle way of not getting out of survival mode. This reality creates significant cognitive dissonance. The brain detects that discrepancy between what you feel and what you do, and this is a source of stress. But beyond that, there are biological connections. The Canadian doctor and trauma expert Gabor Mate has linked the chronic repression of anger and the need to please, which he calls the silencing of the self. With reduced natural killer cell activity, which you may recognize as crucial for eliminating early tumors, their effectiveness is diminished. Under learned helplessness. In fact, he provocatively defines what is called the cancer personality, which brings together these characteristics. They strongly suppress anger, claiming they never get angry, but inside, are you angry? Pathological kindness and conflict avoidance, the one who always wants to please everyone and never says what they really think is wrong. Do you know anyone like that? Always putting other people's needs above your own, self-sacrifice, or rigid stoicism, and not asking for help. Isn't his thesis in the book When the Body Says No, which I'm reading right now? Living in peace is more heroic and protective than anything else. We must stop separating emotions from biology. Each influences the other. Let's revisit Federico and Claudio. What if I tell you about Claudio? Besides the 15 supplements, he needs antidepressants and benzodiazepines to sleep. He feels more disconnected from himself and others than ever, has no partner, feels awkward with women, and hasn't seen his friends in years. And that he compensates for all of that with a pathological hyper-control of his routine, which in the end only reveals fear of death, loneliness, and illness. How does he appear in public? He seems happy and successful, but at home, he falls apart. He overworks his only successful project. What do you think? Federico spends his free time fishing with friends. He smokes, but helps the people in the village every day. He laughs easily and takes life lightly. And honestly, he has plenty of social connections. Who do you think now has a more fulfilling life? Who do you think will live longer? They're fictional cases, but very real, and I'm sure you know a lot of people like that. Look, we know less about health than we think. Relational, spiritual, and social values are difficult to measure in studies, but they still shape your biology. Your health is as strong as your relationships, purpose, and authenticity, and you won't hear this in many talks about longevity. If you need us to help you in a consultation or design your nutrition and training plan, get in touch with us here. See you in the next video. Take care, big hug, and keep empowering.